If you're in the market for a robotic pool cleaner, there's a good chance you come across the Dolphin Nautilus CC. It shows up everywhere. And yeah, at first glance, it seems like a no-brainer. Clean design, decent price, well-known brand. But take a closer look, and you'll start to notice a few big missing features. I'm talking no weekly timer, no nano filters, and no anti-tangle swivel. And trust me, once you lived with a cleaner that has those features, you'll wonder how you've ever put up with one that doesn't. Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Actually Used, and today we're putting the Dolphin Nautilus CC to the test. It's an entry-level Dolphin cleaner with a solid performance, but it's missing a few features you'll definitely want. Each of those missing pieces matters more than you think. They're not just spec sheet trivia. They affect how often you deal with the cleaner, how long your pool stays crystal clear, and how much hair pulling you can avoid. So before you click the buy button, let's talk through what you're actually giving up and why it might be worth spending just a little bit more to save yourself the headache. Why the missing weekly timer feels like a daily chore. Let's start with the weekly timer. This one hits close to home. Compared to cordless robots, which force you to fish them out, charge them, and drop them back in every single day, the Nautilus CC feels like a breath of fresh air. You just press a button and go. Easy, right? Until you realize you still have to go press that button every single day. Now imagine this instead. You press a button once a week and the robot just runs automatically. On a schedule, no reminders, no extra steps. That's what a weekly timer does. And it's exactly what you get with a robot like the Dolphin Cayman. And honestly, that one feature alone makes the upgrade worth it. I wish the Nautilus CC came with it, but it doesn't. And that's not by accident. It's Dolphin's way of pushing you towards the Max Series and Pro line models, which brings us to the Cayman. It adds the weekly timer. It offers optional nano filters, and it doesn't leave you wondering what you're missing. For the price, it's the smarter choice, and one that won't make you keep going outside just to turn your pool cleaner on. Let's talk filters. Not all are created equal. And there is one part of a pool cleaner you'll interact with the most. It's the filter. Doesn't matter how smart or powerful the robot is, if the filter can't catch the fine stuff, you'll still be scooping debris by hand. And with the Nautilus CC, the default filter setup is, let's just say, basic. It uses a standard mesh screen that catches large leaves and bugs just fine, but don't expect it to do much with dust, silt, or pollen. You'll notice it after storms, or wind, or even just a few hot days in a row. The pool looks clean until you realize the bottom is still covered in a thin layer of grit. And that's where the nano filters come in. The cleaner itself is decent, but if the filter can't keep the fine debris out of circulation, then you're stuck with cloudy water, no matter how often you run it. Nano filters, the feature you didn't know you needed until you do. Nano filters are Dolphin's answer to all that invisible junk floating in your pool. They trap the stuff you can't see. Find dust, sand, pollen, sunscreen, residue, the kind of stuff that standard filters just push right back through the robot and into the water. And once you try a cleaner with nano filters, you start to notice a real difference, not just in how the pool looks, but how it feels. The catch? The Nautilus CC doesn't have nano filters. You're locked into a basic mesh screen from day to day. Meanwhile, models like the Dolphin Quantum come with nano filters by default, and both the Cayman and Escape let you add them if you want to step things up. And that's a shame, because once you've used nano filters, there's no going back. The difference in water clarity is instantly noticeable. It's the kind of upgrade that quietly does its job every time you run the cleaner and makes your pool feel fresher, brighter, and just better. The Cayman lets you make that leap. The Nautilus CC doesn't. Simple as that. Cleaning coverage, the wall hugger that skips the waterline. Now, about the way it cleans. The Nautilus CC covers the pool floor and climbs the walls. So on paper, that sounds like a full coverage, but there's a catch. It skips the waterline. That top band around the tile where grime loves to stick, it doesn't scrub there. So even though it climbs, it never finishes the job. The stuff that sticks right where the waterline meets the air, you'll be back with a brush before long. This isn't a deal breaker for everyone, but it's worth pointing out. Coming from a model that does handle the waterline, you'll notice the difference immediately. It's one of those things that feels small until you realize how often you're doing that part yourself. Bottom line, the Nautilus CC isn't lazy, but it does leave the most visible part of the pool up to you. And if that bugs you, there are better options out there, like the Quantum or the Premier, that handle the waterline scrubbing automatically. Just something to think about. No swivel, no big deal, until the cord starts acting up. One thing the Nautilus CC skips is an anti-tangle swivel. Now, that isn't necessarily a deal breaker, especially if you got a smaller pool or you're good about laying the cord out flat between runs. But if you ever pulled a robotic pool cleaner out the pool only to find the cord twisted like an old garden hose, you know where this is going. Without a swivel, the cable can develop memory. It starts curling in the same direction every time the robot loops the pool. Sometimes it even knots up mid-cycle, which shortens the cleaning range and stops it from reaching certain spots. We found ourselves stretching the cord out in the sun occasionally just to let it relax and unlearn the twists. To be fair, the Dolphin Cayman doesn't include a swivel either, but if you're going for long-term convenience, the Quantum makes a strong case. It has the anti-tangle swivel, plus nano filters and a weekly timer, and the massive XXL max spin. On paper, those are just specs. In real life, they save you time and keep your pool spotless with less micromanaging. Worth it? Definitely. If you want to level up the experience. Necessary? Not for everyone. But nice? Absolutely. Suction power. Here's what the numbers actually tell you. We didn't just take the Nautilus CC out of the box and guess how well it worked. At Actually Used, we run every robot through hands-on tests, week after week, in real pools, with real messes. One of those tools we rely on, a manometer. It's a way to measure suction pressure in PSI, pounds per square inch, at the robot's intake. Why does that matter? Because suction is what makes or breaks how well a cleaner actually picks up debris. Brushes help scrub, sure, but suction is what lifts sand, leaves, and gunk off the floor and into the filter. If a robot doesn't generate enough vacuum power, it just pushes lighter debris around or leaves heavier stuff behind. When we tested the Nautilus CC, its suction performance wasn't just a little behind, it was drastically lower. We measured just 0.8 psi, less than half the output of several models in the same price tier, or slightly above it. That's not a small gap. It's the difference between a robot that needs babysitting and one that can truly clean unattended. On the dirtier sections of the pool, the Nautilus CC often needed a second pass, or worse, a manual follow-up. Meanwhile, cleaners like the Dolphin Cayman with 1.5 psi and the Dolphin Quantum with 1.4 psi offer nearly double the suction while keeping the price in a similar ballpark. Both giving you stronger debris pickup right out of the box, and both support Nano Filters, which capture fine debris. The CC's basic mesh filter simply lets it through. If you're looking to stretch your dollar and see real cleaning results, the Cayman or Quantum are vastly better options in my opinion. And just for fun, let me show you what the top-end robots look like. If you step up to the higher-end models like the Dolphin Sigma with 2.0 psi or the Dolphin Premier with 2.2 psi, you'll get commercial level suction paired with smarter navigation, better wall coverage, and filters that adapt to your pool's needs. These aren't just spec upgrades. They translate directly to less babysitting, less debris left behind, and less time spent wondering if your cleaner is doing its job. That's why we use a manometer, because real-world performance starts with real numbers. Anyone can claim powerful suction, but PSI tells the truth. And if you're spending hundreds of dollars, or even $1,000, on a pool robot, you deserve more than just marketing fluff. You deserve proof. Here's how the suction pressure stacked up in our controlled tests. Dolphin Nautilus CC 0.8 psi, Dolphin Quantum 1.4 psi, Dolphin Cayman 1.5 psi, Dolphin Sigma 2.0 psi, Dolphin Premier 2.2 psi. Bottom line, if strong suction is a priority, the Nautilus CC may not be the best fit. For a similar price or a smaller step up, you can find models like the Cayman or Quantum that deliver noticeably better performance without blowing your budget. So is the Dolphin Nautilus CC worth it? At around $600, the Dolphin Nautilus CC isn't a bad cleaner. It's just a basic one. If you never owned a robotic pool cleaner before, and you're coming from manually vacuuming or suction side systems, this will feel like a big step forward. It cleans the floor, climbs the walls, and it's from a brand with a solid track record. But the lower suction power, basic filtration, and no weekly smart timer, if it were me, I'd move up to the Dolphin Cayman, or even better, the Dolphin Quantum. The Dolphin Quantum also steps up the Pro line performance, so you get stronger suction, SmartNav 2.0 cleaning software, a larger XXL max bin, and a more polished clean every time. But worth it depends on what you're expecting. If you want a cleaner that runs on a schedule, captures fine dust, avoids cable tangles, and leaves the water looking polished every time, then you're going to run into a few pain points here. You'll be emptying the basic mesh filter more often, manually starting each cycle, and maybe even straightening out the cord every week or so. So yes, it works. But if you want more than the bare minimum, it starts to show its limits fast. That's a harder sell. Not because the Nautilus CC is bad, it's just surrounded by better options that doesn't cost that much more. After weeks of testing it side by side with other Dolphin models, I found myself constantly wishing it had just one more feature: a timer, Nano Filters, a swivel, something if you're on a strict budget and don't mind the hands-on upkeep, it's fine. But most people buying a robot cleaner want something they can set and forget. That's where the Nautilus CC doesn't quite deliver. It still needs your help every day. So would I recommend it? Only if you can't stretch the budget even a little bit. Otherwise, there are smarter buys out there that will save you time and effort in the long run. What I buy instead? If it were my money, I skip the Nautilus CC and go straight to the Dolphin Cayman. It's a natural upgrade. You get optional NanoFilters, which are free with purchase right now at PoolBots, a weekly timer, and a more polished overall experience. It still doesn't have the swivel, but it's a noticeable improvement across the board. If you want to go even further, the Dolphin Quantum is where things really start feeling premium. It adds the anti-tangle swivel, comes standard with NanoFilters, and includes the XXL max bin for fewer cleanouts, and just feels more refined. It's a bigger investment, sure, but it earns the keep with every cycle. You press a button, walk away, and the pool is spotless. Bottom line, the Nautilus CC works, but the Cayman and Quantum work better. And when you're trusting a robot to keep your pool clean week after week, better makes all the difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.